I mean, as you say, the vaccination was approved, and I quote, as an act of immunisation to prevent coronavirus disease in individuals 16 years of age and older. I mean, that was absolutely ludicrous. But the government had warnings of these vaccinations in this speech, quote, continued approval depended on the evidence of longer-term efficacy and safety. They didn't have that evidence, did they?
No, and this is where it really grinds my gears now. Now that we're a couple of years down the track, the whole thing, the vaccine rollout was not successful, and yet they are still continuing to this day to peddle the vaccines as safe and effective and make people, over 60s, I think now still have to get it, certainly if you're in an aged care nursing home, get these, I think they're up to the 6th dose now, which is just insane that you're boosting these people as regularly as you are, and wasting taxpayers' money that could otherwise go to, recruiting more nurses on the front line.
Astonishing. Just before you go, tell us the tragic story about Maddie de Grey. Maddie was one of the children in the children's adolescent trial. She ended up in a wheelchair being fed through a tube. Pfizer described her injury as functional abdominal pain. She developed gastroenteritis, nausea, vomiting, erratic blood pressure, memory loss, brain fog, headaches, dizziness, fainting, seizures, verbal and motor tics, menstrual cycle issues, lost feeling from the waist down, hence the wheelchair, lost bowel and bladder control, lost her ability to eat. She was hospitalised many times and she's been wheelchair bound and fed via a tube, but Pfizer gaslighted her. Pfizer tried to pretend it wasn't them, it was someone else. What a story, Gerard.
Yeah. I mean, well, you pretty much described it in a nutshell there, Alan. And, and that's they're the ones we know of. I mean, we don't know what happened to the other people in those trials because when they tested the 40,000 people in those trials, they unblinded the placebo group after 2 months, right? So the trial was never done properly, but it was a passive reporting system. So the Pfizer didn't ring up everyone that they vaccinated day in, day out, get a report and take, say, for example, and this is the other thing, that PCR test was not the gold standard of testing. The gold standard of testing is actually taking a blood test or a serology test and then examining the blood for the presence of antibodies, whether it's the vaccine spike protein that includes the proline insertion at 986, 987, or natural antibodies looking for a nuclear capsid, right? And so, I mean, it was just so rushed out that it was never done thoroughly.
But the answer, the key thing here, Pfizer is given by the government indemnity. They can walk away from all this. Pfizer saying it wasn't meant to stop transmission and it wasn't meant to stop efficacy. I mean, they can cause all this damage to individuals and they walk away. Gerard, we could talk forever. You are outstanding. Let me ask you this. Where then will there ever be appropriate compensation to people as a consequence of what has happened to them? Will anyone ever admit liability?
Well, I hope so, Alan, and I'll keep certainly fighting for that for the rest of my time in the Senate. My fear is it'll be a thalidomide type situation whereby 30 or 40 years down the track, once all the culprits are currently, who caused this sort of 6 feet under or that old, someone will come out and see political advantage in apologising it, and it will be very symbolic and lots of virtue signalling, but unfortunately it'll be too late for many of the people who would have spent a lifetime of suffering.
Absolutely. I thank you for the contribution you've made and the fact that you keep going, and I condemn the Liberal National Party in Queensland. Viewers have heard this man today, but he has been disendorsed in Queensland, a senator who won't be able to stand for the Senate at the next election. He's lost his 3rd spot on the ticket.
I'm still in the party, Alan.
Good, I'm still in the party. I know you are. I know you are. Along with a lot of other wood ducks who wouldn't be able to identify the problems that you've spoken about today.